Now that we have our rough electrical wiring installed, we're ready to do the switches. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. Holy mackerel. Look at all those wires. Somehow we're going to have to install these light switches. Now this at first may look kind of scary to you. Pull them all out and we'll show you what to do here. Now as you can see from before, I had put some masking tape on the two light switch power wires. This is for my left switch, this is for my right switch, and our fan we're going to install right here, and the two light switches. You always want to have the light switches closest to the door. That's what I generally do. Then the fan switch will be on the far end. So when you get to this stage, make sure you've got your power off. I checked that again before I undid the wires and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you what to do now. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to move these wires out of the way. And I've got this, this is the Romex cabling that we have going from the switch up to the ceiling fan. So what I need to do is strip off the cabling, the sheathing on the outside of the wiring. So I'm going to unfold that. And I'm going to take my sheetrock knife. Make sure you have a sharp knife. And I'm just going to gently score the surface of it. I'm not going to cut too far because I don't want to skin any of the wires underneath. So I'm just going to reach in the box and just with the tip, I'm going to lightly score the top of this. Now make sure you don't slip. You don't want to cut your hand. So once I get about this far, I move my hand above there because I don't want to cut it. I've done it before. Everybody has. You just got to be careful though. Okay, then you strip, you fold it out like that, pull that up like that, and I'm just going to do, there's a paper piece in here that's wrapped around everything. I'm just going to do the cabling first. I'm going to hold it, I'm going to reach up in there and score it and pull it off. I'm going to pull this paper off and just kind of unwind it, and it pulls off. Now, there's another piece of paper that's wrapped around the ground wire. So now I've just kind of unraveled that. This one's a little bit more stiff, so get the wires out of the way, cut that off. Okay. So now I got my wires here. Now, what I'm going to do here is I have to rearrange all these ground wires. I want to connect all the ground wires together. So you want to look in here, you want to route all of the wires so that they are kind of pushed in towards the back. Now what we have, if you saw when I took the light switches out, the original light switches, we had a ground screw on both of the light switches. So we've got to have two ground wires coming out, and then we also have to have a separate ground wire coming out for our fan. So we're going to somehow we got to connect 6 ground wires, but yet we have to have 3 pigtails coming out. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. Just wanted to show you, this was one of the existing light switches I had. I'm going to reinstall it. There's two screws here. We're going to put the black wires in here. I'll explain that in a little bit. I just wanted to show you, here's the ground screw. Okay, so we got 2 switches like that we're going to reinstall. One's going here, one's going there, and what you want to do is you got to look on these. There's a definite top and bottom. You look on there and it will say top. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm just going to show you. Generally it's right in here somewhere. Because this is a toggle switch, you don't want to put that upside down and not think about it. Because once you get all done, when you want the light switch off, it's on. When you want it on, it's off. So make sure there's a definite top, because the rest of the house is all wired. It is all done one way. You don't want to come into the next room and find out, oh, you have to turn the light switches on a different way. Okay, so that's those 2 switches, and then this is going to be our ceiling fan switch. And as you can see, it's got a green wire in the back. This is our ground wire. So and here's our 2 that we're going to connect to the black, which is power. Okay, so that's why we have to have 3 pigtails out of here. So we'll get that situated now. I just wanted to show you that. Here's our fan switch. It looks just like the other one's off. One is fast speed, medium speed, slow speed. To turn it off, you go down like that. Okay? One more thing I wanted to show you. We've got these existing switches, they're not very deep. Now I wanted to show you the ceiling fan switch. See how deep this box is? And the light switches are not as thick. So this box is going to fit at this end of where the light switches are going to be, which means this box is going to fit way back in there. So when I resituate all these wires, I want to make sure I have my big wire nuts over to the far left. I don't want them right behind that big box where the light ceiling fan is going to be. So when I situate all these wires, I kind of have to think what I'm going to do, how I'm going to fold the wires back into the box, and all that. So make sure you're aware of that before you start your project. Okay, so now I'm going to get my white wires and my black wires. I'm going to look in the box and I'm going to see how my ground wires overlap other wires, kind of like pickup sticks. You want to see where all your ground wires are going to go. You want them pushed back into the back all the way. So sometimes you may have to reroute your wires, push them back in there, kind of check it all out. So that's what I'm going to do next. As I'm doing this, I want to make sure I still know where my two main power sources, or the main wires for my light switches are going to be, the black powers. So these are the wires that go directly up to the light switches. So I want to, when I'm pushing everything back in the box, I want to make sure I isolate these. So I always want to kind of keep these out of the way. Okay? Incidentally, once we get all done, as you saw with the light switches, all the white wires, well, there's no place for any white wires to be hooked up to light switches in the back of them. So what we're going to do in this box is we're going to ultimately attach all the white wires together. So we got 6 white wires. So when I'm pushing all this stuff back, I want to kind of keep track of all that as I go. First, utilizing separating all the ground wires, because we're going to start with that.